Welcome to the Generation Elevation podcast, a conscious, connected platform for those who are ready to manifest their dream life. I'm your host, Elise Riley, a former PT, now motivational speaker, igniting empowerment and transformation all across the globe. Here at Generation Elevation, we are committed to bringing you the most inspiring guests who will share their stories, wisdom, and advice to help you progress closer to living a life of your own terms.
Welcome back to another episode of Generation Elevation. Now, today I am really excited to have this guest on because this person, she has a special place in my heart. She has witnessed my journey from being in Gisborne, Victoria, in Australia, teaching in a little country town that I grew up in. She was with me through the years, training a couple of times a week, and honestly, just the conversations that we had together, it was something that helped me a lot through some challenging times. And really, this person encouraged me to move to the Gold Coast and really encouraged this spiritual path that I have been on ever since. So it is an absolute pleasure to have this woman on today. Her name is Sharon, and Sharon is a holistic health practitioner. She's helping people align to the vision of their future. And like I said, it is a pleasure to have her on today. So with that said, I would like to introduce you, Sharon. How are you, Sharon?
Hello. Oh, thank you, Elise. That was such a beautiful introduction. But can I just add, that was all you, baby. That was all you. We just had chats. So well done to you.
Honestly, like I just always think back to those times like where I had like most of my clients back then in PT days, like everyone was very spiritual. So the conversations that we'd have were always like super fun and enlightening. And I just remember the ones that I'd have with you though was like starting to get quite trippy because we talk about like all the synchronicities of things and what we've been dreaming about, the energy of the world. And it's like I'd never had conversations like that before. So it really was just more of a gateway to make me feel safe to take that step into the journey that I'm on today. So yeah, really grateful for that time.
Oh, amazing. We always attract what we need into our life at that point. And I think it's exactly what you needed at that point. Like you were going through some emotional things and some personal things at that time. And I had been through similar things at a younger age. So yeah, we were able to hold those conversations and have pretty good ones. Did we actually ever get any training in? We did, didn't we?
I mean, we definitely tried to. It was so funny because like a lot of the people that are trained, including you, like we'd get talking and then I'm like, all right, no, like we need to do something here. Like
it was awesome. Yeah, so, well, you taught me so much about training as well, which was really cool. But I always knew from our conversations that your journey was going to be quite big. So, and I knew it was just a matter of time until you sort of shoot it off and, you know, started doing what you were meant to be doing. So, yeah, I could feel that definitely when we had our conversation. So I knew it was coming, that I was going to lose my trainer, but that's all good.
Yeah, I think a few people knew that as well. And I'm so grateful for that time because it taught me a lot about people and communicating and like being open. And that will always have a special place in my heart, that time of my life. But also so grateful to have shifted and be on aligning with my future, right?
Yes, align your future. Remember that.
Yes, definitely. So Sharon, tell my audience a little bit about you, like what makes you who you are today? Like, how is it that we're here right now on Zoom? I'm in London, you're in Gisborne, Australia, and, you know, you're a holistic health practitioner. How does one become that? And what has been your journey along the way to that point?
How long have you got? But it's been life for me has been a massive journey. I think you know a little bit about it too. Started from a quite traumatic childhood with my parents. And then I found that I loved business at about, when I met my husband, I was about 26, and we spoke about business so much. So I went into business together, and I got pregnant whilst we were setting up our first business. So I literally was about 8 months pregnant. I had started my maternity leave from work. I'm trying to just find the good bits because it's quite a long story, right? So I was pregnant with twins, twin boys on the way, trying to set up a business, and we got through all the hard stuff. We created a very successful construction company, a domestic construction company. And about 10 years into that, I started feeling not so well, not so connected. The dreams that I had turned into pretty much a cash flow management role for me. And I went into construction because I absolutely love creation. I love design. And that's why I agreed to go into that business. But needless to say, we were making a hell of a lot of money, doing really well in business. And I started feeling not so connected to the business. So it took me a little bit, but I was pretty much burning the candle at both ends. I was in survival mode. I was pretty much just living to make money. Okay. So, and I felt like that's what I needed to do in order to prove myself to the world. If I made money, I didn't have to worry about my trauma. I didn't have to worry about anything, because to everybody else, I looked like I was a massive success, and therefore I didn't have to answer any of their questions. I didn't have to reveal what was really inside of me, what I was avoiding, you know, all those sorts of things, all those interesting things that I think we're going to get to a little bit later. So there was a lot I was avoiding, but because I was making money, it made me put on a good facade. I had nice cars. I had a nice house. Everybody thought Sharon was amazing. She had her shit together. But inside, I was literally almost dying. It was actually probably the deepest and darkest time of my life, just sitting in silence and not revealing who I was and who I wanted to be. I was pretty much living to satisfy everybody else. And then there came a point pretty much that there was a consistent knocking at my door, like, wake up, Sharon. My body would hurt every time I went to the office. But I kept silent the whole time. I was silent. I didn't really say much. So I just kept to myself, you know, handed my kids off to childcare, didn't really have much in terms of relationships with anyone because I was so dark inside. I didn't want to talk. I just wanted to isolate myself. So it was a really dark time for me. But anyway, something kept pushing me and saying, hey, you know, you need to listen. And I didn't listen. And the knocks kept getting louder and louder and louder. And there came a point where I pretty much got tipped over and I said, okay, I need to do something about this because I can't keep living in this pain, in this, I'm not going to use the word depression, just in this negativity. I just can't keep doing this. So I worked up the courage to tell my husband that I wasn't happy. So this was big, Elise, because this was the foundation of our entire existence at this stage, right? So everything we had relied upon me making this business successful, and him, of course, but I was the one, he pretty much controlled the outside stuff and I was doing all the internal work, all the staffing, you know, all that sort of stuff, all the quality control, the contracting, everything, legal, everything. So there was a lot on my shoulders, which was fine. I didn't mind the work, but it was just not aligned with who I was. And then I started realizing that. And I started branching out. I told him I wasn't happy. And so I started exploring a little bit more about myself, about what I wanted. I came across quantum health, Psych K, and this is all stuff I'd explored in my, similar stuff, because I was always into preventative medicine. I went through some illness at a young age, and, you know, TMC, Chinese medicine, really helped me through that. So at a very young age, I'd already explored that I was really connected with sort of alternative therapies. So I started exploring it for myself, and my heart started opening, and I started finding myself again. I started finding my voice again. Not that I didn't have a voice, but an authentic voice, my voice. I didn't have my voice. And yeah, and then so I started exploring that. I started working with clients, and then at the age of maybe 43, I enrolled into university. And so amongst the construction company, quantum health, Psych K, which is, subconscious programming and shifting those belief systems, I completed a degree. So I became a holistic health practitioner. I come up and I pioneered the term manifestation with a whole health mindset. So now this is my journey. And I still, like I said to you earlier, I've still got other businesses I'm involved with, but I feel like this is my heart. This is what I need to share with the world right now in the present moment. So yeah, it's also exciting. So yeah, there's been a lot. I could have probably gone on for about 2 hours about my childhood and, everything. But in a nutshell, that's how I sort of got to this present moment in my life.
It's so powerful. And as you were speaking as well, like even before we pressed record, we spoke a little bit about throwing yourself into work when times can be stressful, to avoid trauma, to avoid self-sabotage and patterns. And I noticed, like, just in business messaging these days, teaching people how to start a business, it's all about like work harder, work harder, work harder. And I really noticed a theme of these people working harder, but also it's from a place of like this energetic fear that if they don't work hard, they're not going to be good enough, that by working hard, they get to escape their uncomfortability of what would happen if they were to be just present and to be rather than to do. So I'd really love to hear like your thought process on that. And for the people listening who may resonate in regards to that, where they might have money in the bank and they're hard workers, they get shit done, they're doers, but then also they're finding that they're still not being fulfilled, even though they have that there. Like, what would be your advice for them? Like, if you think back to that younger version of yourself in that time, like maybe giving a little bit of insight to what you were potentially avoiding, and when was that moment for you when you were like, oh, I need to change this?
Yeah. So like I said, the universe pretty much stopped me and made me sick is how I pretty much woke up. But I was very much that person, like I explained a little bit earlier, do. Don't worry about the emotions that are coming up from the past, because if I keep, and this is very common, and I work with so many people that experience this exact thing. I call it avoidance. I'm not sure if that's the correct terminology for it, but that's how I refer to it.
It's so when you're in a stress response, it's like fight, flight, freeze.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly what's happening. So you're in survival mode, right? You're doing everything to survive. And that's exactly what I was doing, because the way I saw it, my parents had lost a lot of money growing up. They had lost houses. They were in business, then they lost businesses. So there came a point where they really didn't have anything. So for me, it was prove to the world that you can make money. And that was all I needed to do. Okay, so that was my focus. It was always to make money. And I find making money not so hard. I have a pretty good relationship with money, So, and again, money is energy, and, that's a completely different thing. But I have a good relationship with money. But I was the person that do, avoid everything else, and then come back and keep doing and keep growing in that aspect. But then it took me getting sick, like consistently sick, nothing like a cancer or anything like that, but consistently sick. It was almost like I was being stopped so I could see what was going on around me when I was just present, because I was never present. I wasn't present with my kids. Like I said, I wasn't present with my husband. I was just thinking survival mode, make money. That's all you need to do to prove you're shit hot in this world, get all the nice cars, and then people won't ask me any questions about how I'm feeling or what I'm doing, because to everyone else I look amazing. So yeah, definitely for me it was just stopping and realizing what was actually happening around me, being aware, becoming awareness, I call it, of my kids' reactions to me going to work, or my kids' reaction at one point when I was sick and I was forced to stay home with them. You know what I mean? And that to me was like, okay, look at them. They want to be around me. They don't want to leave my sight because I'm never with them. Right. So, and there's a lot of these sorts of realizations, and it's only when you start becoming into that awareness that you start realizing other things. Oh, look, my husband and I haven't been on a date together for probably 3 years. So once you start opening up your eyes to one thing, then you start seeing everything else that's going on around you. So, yeah, and then you've got to find a way to find real success, and real success comes from when you can make money, because it's really hard when you don't have money, let's be honest, and also be, great in every other facet of life too. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's really powerful. And I wanted to really touch on money as an energy, right? Because you said that before, and I teach this with my clients too. But I'd love to hear your perspective on this in regards to like manifesting money, right? And coming from a place of avoidance. So most people, they're doing, maybe they're in scarcity, so they work hard, make money, and then they feel better, right? In terms of money as an energy, like what would be your perspective on that and manifesting it more into your life?
Yeah, I think it's more about the relationship with money. So like anything, money is energy. Money is an exchange for a service. So money is energy, and we attract what we are. I had a lot of limitations around money because of what I've mentioned earlier, but I know how to shift those at a subconscious level. So I'm constantly balancing myself when things come up at a subconscious level. So I had a lot of programs around money, of losing money, of it just disappearing. So when I get a bill, I would always be like, oh my God, I have a bill. Like I'm scared to open it because I don't want to lose money. Not that I'm a tight ass or anything like that, but in business, when you are in business, your cash, if you know cash flow, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. So the times that it was down, I struggled. The times it was up, it was great. Obviously, that's probably the majority of us, right? But I had to shift a lot of limitations about being okay when the cash flow was down. And so I had to shift a lot of limitations. For example, I had things come up like, I will lose money. I'm just born to lose money because of what I'd seen as a child. I was born to have nothing. So a lot of those sorts of thoughts and belief systems came up for me. Now, I think when it comes to manifesting money, it's more about the words you use. So when you're thinking about, say, debt, so if you're, say, coming up with an affirmation for debt, it shouldn't look like I have no debt. I have no debt. So that's what you want. Okay. It should be more, I am abundance, I am prosperity, because when you're using the word debt, you're still attracting debt. I know it sounds a little bit bizarre, but you're still using those words. So your energy is still around debt. So we need to get out of the mindset of using particular words, especially when we have limitations around them, and instead use things like I am abundance, I feel prosperous, I am prosperity. I really like the I am affirmations. They really work really well for me. But, you really got to think about the words that you're using. For example, if you use an affirmation like I have no debt, I find that debt is where your energy goes to. So do you find that as well? Like that's the powerful point of the word, of the sentence. So that's what I just feel it can change.
In NLP, they teach you that like the subconscious mind doesn't process negative. So the saying, I have no debt, if you take up the no, is basically saying I have debt. So your mind's not even processing the no. It's like what you focus on expands. We both know that. And I know a lot of my listeners have known that too, because I've got a podcast literally called that. And that means whether you want it or not, where your focus is, you'll attract it. So if you're focusing on the fact that you have debt, you're going to attract more of that. If you're focusing on the fact that you're abundant, then you're going to have more of that. So it's using words in a way that words are like spells. Literally, what you say and you feel, what you think and you feel, and therefore you will say, is literally a reflection of what will be manifested back to you. So if you are wanting to manifest money or health or whatever it is that you're wanting to create in this world, or more about focusing on what the end of the stick that you want rather than what you don't want or what you want to avoid. So it's like,
Correct.
I have no debt is talking about what you want to avoid rather than talking about like, I have abundance in all areas of my life. That feels better,
Correct.
right? When you listen to it, like it's more about the feeling and the energy behind it. So yeah, 100% agree.
Correct.
Like if you guys are listening right now and you're like, I'm writing affirmations, they're not working, it's probably because you're using like, I don't want to get sick, or I don't want to lose my keys, or if you're saying that, it's literally I want to lose my keys, I want to get sick. So
Correct.
just be mindful of the words that you're saying when you do these affirmations.
Yeah, I'll just add something there about affirmations too. So the subconscious mind is only in the present moment. So if we're reprogramming something at a subconscious level, it needs to be in the present moment. And it's not just about words either. So it's also about the words we speak and the emotions that we generate from those words. So an affirmation has to be in the present moment, and it has to have a resonating emotion, okay? Otherwise, it's not going to be believed at a subconscious level. So that's really important that the thought is pretty much the cause and the emotion is the effect. We need both of those in order to shift things at a subconscious level.
Yeah, and you know what, when you were just talking about this, like I know you know Abraham Hicks, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So she speaks about like choosing a better feeling thought, and all emotions have a vibrational frequency. Like I've spoken about this many times before about how everything in this universe is literally made up of 99.9 recurring percent energy and information. So the thoughts we think, you and I, the table we're sitting at right now, the car you're driving, or the like dishes you're washing, or whatever you're doing while you're listening to the podcast, right? Everything is energy. And I've spoken about this multiple times. So if you want to learn more about this, just go back to a couple of episodes and you'll find some more science on that. For the purpose of what I want to talk about now is the fact that our emotions are energy. All energy has a frequency. And so a contracted emotion such as fear, guilt, shame, anger is going to be quite a low vibration. Like when you feel this, right, you're going to feel quite tired. It's exhausting. It's slow. It's low. It seems sick, right? Then versus when you're in abundance, when you're happy, when you're enjoying, it's quite expansive. It's fast. You have ideas, creativity, it's flow. And so it's a lot higher vibration than those negative emotions. And the reason I share this is because when you tune into, let's say, fear, let's say you've experienced something in the past where you've lost money, you got sick, or you had a heartbreak, or whatever that pain is to you. Because some people will be about money and scarcity. Some people it might be about like the wars and things that are happening within their families, within their countries. It could be anything, right? And so usually for most people, they can be stuck in a low vibration of fear. If you're then saying affirmations, like, I am happy, and you are feeling like shit, it's not going to be doing anything for you. And so you can't simply just get there from there, is what I'm saying. If you want to go from contraction to expansion, there's a whole lot of other steps in between. You can't just go from feeling absolute rage to then being enlightened in a split second. It's a quantum leap, and it would feel like it wouldn't feel normal, it would feel safe, and it would be messy. So the key is to gradually move slowly, whether it be in a couple of minutes or a couple of hours or a couple of days, months, years, right? Whatever you're ready for, it's like slowly you'll move up the scale towards that peace and joy and love that we all desire. And so, or that is our natural way to be. So if we move off the path, eventually we come back onto the path. It's like a journey towards that. And so if you're finding your affirmations aren't working, choose something that just feels slightly better rather than just to go from like, I feel like shit to I feel absolutely amazing. Like, okay, well, I feel like shit. Okay, well, maybe I know that everything's working out. I know that I'll always be okay no matter what. I know that when I put my mind to something, usually it works out for me. And I know that I have really good support around me. I know that I'm supported in this realm, by the universe, God, etc. And so you can see how slowly you can move up the scale towards that feeling of contentment, at least, or something that feels a little bit better than feeling that scarcity and fear, or money, right? You can start there. Like you might say, I don't have enough money. Okay, well, you know that there is more abundance in the world than there is just money, right? Let's have a look at other things that are in abundance. Okay, look at how many pieces of grass are on the ground. Look at how many leaves are on a tree. Look at how many people there are in this world. Look at how many cars there are, and start adding up the values of all the cars that are around you. And look at how much money you're surrounded by. It's not that you don't have enough.
Gratitude as well.
Yeah, you always have what you need. You can look back on your past. Okay, you've always had what you needed. You've always been okay. You'll be okay no matter what. You know that everything is happening for a reason. Everything is perfect timing. And automatically you're probably listening to this and going, oh, I feel a little bit better. And that's the key, is just to choose a better feeling thought each time. And as you slowly move, you'll find that over time you'll feel amazing. And then those affirmations, like, I feel rich, I feel wealthy with life, I feel in love with myself, with others, I feel healthy, I feel amazing. Like, that will start to feel true. And it's interesting that the bridge between fear or the bridge between contraction and the low vibration emotions and that enlightenment expansion is courage. That the emotion that we must cross to get from one side to the other is courage. And usually it's taking that risk, it's following through on that intuitive hit and that download that you get and that idea that you've been putting off for ages because you've been fearful about it. Like, could be starting a business, could be going to the gym, it could be asking that person out. It's like that courage. Yeah, you're not doing it for the sake of the result that you get, but it's the initiation of the things that you learn about you in that moment that will help you get to that feeling of abundance, of peace, of health, of wealth, of love that you have been desiring, that is your natural birthright to be.
Absolutely. 100%. I think it's also, for me, and a lot of the things I teach my clients too, is just having those habits, those daily habits, like waking up in the morning and being grateful. And sometimes you're not going to feel like, I know everyone thinks you got to be feeling amazing all the time. We all know that's bullshit and it's not possible. But, you know, if you just know, like for me, I get up and I'm grateful. And even if I'm not feeling great, if something, you know, has happened that hasn't been so good the day before or something, and I'm struggling to be grateful, I know that my habit tells me to find 5 to 10 things I'm grateful for before I plant my feet on the ground, because I'm telling the universe, I'm telling my being, I'm telling you how I choose to feel. So it's really important that we move with conscious intent towards those habits and towards those goals, and we do it consciously. Otherwise, we do slip into those programs. You know what I mean? So it's really important that, yes, you've got to go through that, but it's important to have those daily habits and to stick with them, because you get to choose how you feel. So I think that's really important too. And you just start your day off right. Gratitude for me has changed my life, you know, and doing it first thing in the morning is just the most important thing of my day. And the days I don't do it, I don't have great days, because I haven't generated that energy through my body. It's our thoughts that generate the energy through our body. So our thoughts give our mind, our mind gives our brain meaning. So it's those thoughts, they generate everything. And no, we're not always going to think positive thoughts, okay, because we're made to just think. And we have 60,000 thoughts or whatever it is every day. But which thoughts are you believing, and which thoughts are you choosing to live by? I think these are really simple tools that everybody can take in their daily life. And this is what it's about. It's about creating those habits, creating that awareness. And slowly evolution happens. It's slowly you evolve, right? But just these, I think the thoughts, the gratitude and understanding that my thoughts generate that energy through my body, and I get to decide how I feel, and I consciously make that my habit every day. And this is it. And this is what conscious intent is all about. And I truly think it changed my life so much, just knowing those few little tools.
It's so powerful. And I'm really curious, and I know that the listeners will be too. What are those habits that you would recommend, or maybe like 3 that you'd recommend to the listeners that they should at least try to incorporate into their day that can help them set up their energy to align with their goals and that future vision that they do have?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what I teach a lot of my clients too. First thing, gratitude. Well, actually, let's reverse that a bit, because what you think about the last 5 minutes before bed is what you wake up thinking about. Have a think about it. If you're having a shit day and you go to bed and you are thinking about something negative, you're going to wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning or at 7 a.m. in the morning, and you're going to be thinking about that exact same thing. So my morning routine actually starts from the night before. And so I do energy psych. So I have energy psych recordings. I've actually developed some myself. So this is a meditation, a guided sort of meditation that you listen to as you're falling asleep. And I know I'm conscious of the time, so I'm going to go through this quite quickly. But yeah, it's a meditation that has actually direct access to the subconscious mind. And it's really helped me to be more solution-based, which is really important, especially if you are running businesses and you've got a family and all the rest of it, you've got a lot to do in your day. And when you're in theta mode, which is the time when your body is falling asleep but your mind's awake, this is when you're most relaxed, and this is when you enter the subconscious mind pretty much instantly. Okay, so I'm doing that as I'm falling asleep at night. So they're the last thoughts I'm having. That's the last thing I'm listening to before I go to bed. I wake up in the morning and just to myself, look, when I started doing all of this, it was writing it down, but now it's just so natural to me that, 5 things that I'm grateful for. I wake up out of bed, and that's before I get out of bed. So before I plant my feet on the ground, I'm giving thanks. Even if I don't feel great, I'm still giving thanks, because we've always got something to be grateful for. And then I pretty much make my coffee, sit on the couch. I shuffle a deck of cards, pull a card, something positive, and I write down what my intentions are for that day before I do anything, before I look at my phone, before I do anything, and pretty much then from there my work day starts from about 7 a.m. So I'm pretty early, but they're the things from the night before to the morning, and what I teach my clients, because this is really so important, moving with conscious intent through life. Otherwise, we do slip into old patterns quite quickly. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I do.
I love that. I definitely am the same. I usually, when I wake up, will write down anything that I dreamt about, any like signs, synchronicities, etc. Meditate, do some cards, and then write down what comes through my meditation, then literally go about my day. And at night, we'll do, as I jump into bed, like a rapid appreciation, reflect on all the things in my day that I absolutely love, and like then project that into like how well I'm going to sleep and how grateful I am to be in like my bed and how amazing tomorrow is going to be. And I always wake up like in such a vibe. And then music as well, I think is really important, like conscious music that is uplifting. Like uplifting
absolutely.
Lyrics
yeah,
is super important.
Yeah.
Like I think the more aware, you probably would agree, Sharon, like the more aware you become, the more aware you realize like how music has such a role to play in like your belief system and like the way you feel.
Yeah, it's frequency, like anything. I don't know about you, but I go to the gym a few times a week, and if I don't have good music pumping, I don't have a good workout. It's just the energy that it's creating, and it's the same for when you're meditating or when you're doing whatever. It's that frequency. And with my energy psych recordings, I use a theta frequency, so to bring the brain waves down to theta. So it's really effective. So the music's and the words are really effective combined to the state of mind. So, yeah, it's, of course, music, 100%.
Now, I want to take this topic just a little bit to another thought stream for a second, because what comes to mind just now is I was listening to Abraham Hicks actually the other day, and it was in regards to aligning with the vision of your future. And I think this is going to be perfect. So I'll speak a little bit about like what was said and what resonated for me. And I'd love to hear your perspective on this and how people can line up with their future. So essentially, the question that one of the participants asked was, how come if I can imagine my goals or imagine my future, that it makes me feel nervous when I see it? And the explanation was speaking on how sometimes we'll get a vision of our future. Maybe it's our dream partner, our dream body. It could be standing on stage in front of thousands of people. Or for me, that's been like my goal and vision for years. And I know that that's just what I'll do. And basically, the guy was asking, well, how come that can come through? And it feels really exciting, but also scary at the same time. And the explanation was talking about how sometimes we'll see that and we might not actually be in vibrational alignment with the vision that comes through at the time. We're in alignment with the vision enough to receive what it looks like, but it's not playing out in our reality just yet. And so I feel like a lot of people can get disappointed because then they're looking at what is and realizing, well, it's not here. So like maybe it's not real. It's just in my imagination. But the explanation spoke about how the vision comes through and then it's the process of aligning to that vibrationally. So elevating yourself, whether it be physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, to get to the same resonance as that thing that you're wanting to manifest. Now, I speak about manifestation a lot on my podcast. And if you're listening to this and you want to learn more, there's so many episodes on this that you can have a listen to. But Sharon, I'd really love to hear your perspective in regards to aligning with your vision and manifesting like your life, a whole house life. So physical, mental, financial, spiritual, etc.
Yeah. Okay. There's a lot in that, right? There's so much in that. Some things, whilst you were speaking, then some things I took note of was the control. And I think we spoke about this a little bit earlier too. So we have a vision and we try and control every little thing that happens in between. And we try and think about the how too much it's going to happen. So what I feel is more about having that vision, having the emotions that align with that vision, and leaving the how to source. Does that make sense? That. I always hope that I don't complicate things, but that's how I see it. So the vision, let it be clear, let the result, the end, sort of the end game, I guess, be clear. But the how, don't worry too much about it because you're covered. So source has you covered. Another thing that I think is really important, and it's been really present in my thoughts recently, is that everything happens in the present moment. So we need to manifest from the present moment. A lot of us bring our past into our present moment. Now, the past is simply a memory. and the future is your imagination. Now, when we talk about manifestation, we often think about it happening in the future, but what we actually need to think about is it happening right now, because everything that's ever happened to us has happened to us in the present moment. Does that make sense?
It does make sense to me. However, I would love for you to just elaborate on that, just for the people who are listening who may not potentially understand what you mean by this.
All right, let me try. It's quite complex, and sometimes I heard this quite a while ago and I didn't embody it for quite some time. So just remember that we might hear something today and we might not completely embody the meaning. Okay. So what I'm saying here is that everything that's ever happened to us, if we think about something that happened to us 5 years ago, it happened to us in the present moment of that time. Okay. So if we think about now, and if we think about manifestation now, we think about who we want to be now. I am Sharon and I am a bodybuilder. Don't want to be that, but just say, right? I'm going to be thinking about being a bodybuilder right now. I'm going to feel what it feels like to be that person right now. I'm going to be her today. I'm not going to wait till tomorrow to feel like her. I need to feel like her today. And I think this is the missing link to manifestation, because we always think about the future. So if we want, and this stems back to Jesus and the Bible, not that I'm religious, but it was stated back then, if you want, but how was it? If you want it, be it now. Act like it's already yours. And this is the link that people are missing. And this is such a big form. It actually gives me goosebumps, right? So just remember, and this is how I embodied this. Everything that happens in the present moment. The past is simply a memory, and the future is your imagination. So if you want to manifest, be her now. Be that person now. You want to lose 10 kilos, if that's what you're manifesting, sitting in front of the couch right now, on the couch, in front of the TV, eating a block of chocolate and a bag of chips right now, you are not embodying that person right now. Therefore, she's not yours right now. Tomorrow hasn't come yet. So just remember, for me, that's probably the most important thing when it comes to manifestation. And again, yeah, so that's where my alignment would be. And then on a physical realm, it's more when we talk about aligning with those emotional, mental, and physical aspects. Yeah, so then we're in alignment in the present moment with that person. We need to find the resonance of our emotions, thoughts, and actions in the present moment. If we don't have one of those things, we can't feel her. We can't be her now. So, yeah, I think that's the most powerful thing about manifestation. And you can have anything. There are no limits. And this is another thing. When we're talking about quantum, we're talking about source. When we're talking about quantum, we're talking about unlimited possibilities. There are no limits. The only limits we have are the ones we place on ourselves. So we just need to be mindful that when we are manifesting from the present moment, we don't put limits on ourselves either.
You know what? When you were talking just then, I was like, yes, this is so good. And it reminded me of Joe Spencer, right? So for those listening, was that start of this year, Sharon and I actually met up at one of Joe Spencer's live events in Melbourne.
Yes.
Yeah. And Joe, specifically at that event, spoke about how if you're always putting your goals in the future, saying like, oh, it's coming, and you're not being in the now and being that person that you need to be in order to achieve that now, like you're putting space between you and that goal. And to travel space, it takes time. So you're living in a time-space dimension. Whereas as you elevate vibration, you transcend beyond that. And like to make your manifestations reality, you must be elevate in a vibrational way to therefore like collapse time and make that your reality. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Well, this is the thing, and I think I might be going too deep, so I'm not going to go too far in this, but time is actually an illusion. So energy, and I don't want to confuse anyone, but I'm happy to answer questions, and I'm sure you know exactly if they want to ask questions of you, Elise.
I love it.
Time is an illusion, right? So when we're talking about energy and when we're understanding quantum and we're understanding source, we understand that there is no such thing as time and that energy cannot be destroyed. It just changes form. Okay, so we are not limited by time. We are energy, and that's why we are unlimited, and that's why the belief systems need to change, because there are no limits. There is no time. So yeah, it's full on, but yeah, I get it. It's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal.
I reckon people listening to this will have quantum shifts from this conversation, because like it is so true. It is an illusion, and it's just a construct for control, really. It's like, so you can be here, certain place, certain time, and obviously it is like, I think that the most limitations that from or people put upon themselves is in energy. It's like if you have something that is not in your reality, that is not ideal, it's something to do with your energy, not necessarily because of the lack of time.
Correct. That's right. Because time is a limitation. Because listen, look at the limits we put on ourselves with age. Like I'll use myself as an example. I can't go to university at 43. That's unheard of. Why? Why can't I go to university at 43? Because I've been told in my life that you go to university when you're 18 or 20 years old. So I've held on to that limitation, and I literally was shaking when I pressed, when I was completing my enrollment form, thinking this is the most ridiculous thing you've ever done. But it was more like, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Just do it, and then once it's done, it's like, what was I thinking? What a load of bullshit. Like, I can do whatever I want, when I want. I can have what I want, when I want, as long as it's aligned authentically with who I am and my whole being. Why can't I have it? I don't know. That's just my perception. And you can. And it's as simple as having a thought. Everything started with a single thought. Like, you look around you, and this is another thing that I've been doing lately. You look at your computer, you look at your phone, your drink bottle, your paper. Everything started with a single thought. And I just think that's just amazing, just having those thoughts within itself. So, yeah, there's just so much. I reckon you and I could talk literally for about 25 hours nonstop.
We really could. This is why we barely got training done when we trained together. So to wrap up, I guess, I have one more question. Well, I have two more, but this one is about aligning to who you are. Because you mentioned, like, you've got to make sure you're doing things that are aligned with who you are. But what about the people listening who have no idea who they are? Who are like, I don't know who I am. I don't know who I want to be. What would be your, like, simple advice for those people who are on that journey of self-discovery?
Find what makes you happy, because if you're doing something, if it's bringing you joy, if your heart's expanding. I mean, we need to drop into our hearts more. A really simple and effective tool that I learned from Greg Braden, if anyone knows him, he was one of my lecturers, but heart-centered breathing, where you connect your heart, you sort of speak more to your heart because your heart knows. So for finding my truth, I ask my heart. So all that means is closing your eyes, placing your hand on your heart, breathing into your heart space, connecting with your heart, letting go of the ego mind, and asking the heart. You know when something makes you feel good. You just go with that. And if you're searching for something, like I was searching, for example, for my alignment, I would Google, say, a course I wanted to do. And if it didn't feel good, I'd be like, yeah, nah, it's all right. I'll keep Googling. But then that thing, when I saw the word quantum and university, I was like, that's me. Like there was no denying how happy and joyful that made me feel. So, you need to trust. And if you find it hard to trust in your own intuition and instinct, just ask and just listen to your body. And this is what we've just let go of. Don't you agree that our instinct, it's just humans have just completely forgotten about it because we're so stuck in the grind. Take your shoes off, connect with nature, go for a walk in nature, connect, just like give yourself 15 minutes, know what feeling good feels like, because happiness is our true state of being. That's how it's supposed to be. And we've lost this in the rat race, unfortunately. But that's why we're here to remind people that this is what we need to be doing.
Yeah, 100%. And I love that you said that, because literally I've done an episode, Are You on the Right Path? And it literally is all about teaching people how to connect with their heart. So I'm like, yeah, this is so good.
Yeah, so that's one of my tools that I teach as well. It's really simple, and I combine that with affirmations, and that's another direct link to the subconscious mind, which is, and we could talk about the heart forever, but the heart is its own brain. There's the same amount of neurons that are in the brain. So your heart is very responsive. You've just got to trust it. And you ask your heart. Yeah.
Definitely. So Sharon, where can my listeners find you if they want to learn more about like your course and with your work, and they want to just reach out as well from this podcast?
Yeah, absolutely. Just the easiest way to reach me is probably on my Instagram page, Shazzy Sammut, which is SHAZI_SAMMUT. Any questions, please ask. Don't feel like you shouldn't ask. Remember, everything started with a single thought. We are here to support one another. I chose this as a career because as one of my businesses, because I feel that this is my alignment. So I don't want anyone to ever feel that there's a question that they can't ask. I've been through a shitload in life. I've read a shitload of textbooks. So there's knowledge there. And if I can't help somebody, I'm always happy and open to guide them to the person that can. I have an amazing community of naturopaths, homeopaths, skin specialists. I'm doing actually a chat with a skin specialist, just more natural oils, essential oils. I've got a community of people. If you want information about that, I can guide you to the right person. Yeah, it's just, no question. I should say any question is a good question. So, yeah.
100%. Now, I have one more question for you, and then that is all for today. So, Sharon, if you were to channel through guidance for the collective, so those that are listening to this episode, on what they need to hear right now, what would that be?
The first thing that came to me whilst you were saying that, Elise, was fear. Let go of the fear. There's a lot happening in the world right now, and I can say a lot about this, but I'm not going to be political or anything like that. It's not about that. It's just don't get caught up in the fear of what you're seeing, and seek support from those who can help you. Yeah, and like I said, ask questions. Go to people who make you feel good. Don't sit in the space that's making you feel negative and hurt and feel like you're not sure. Always seek support, love, and guidance from those people that love you and from those people that can help you. But just don't sit in that fear.
Love that. Thank you so much, Sharon. It's been a pleasure having you on today.
Thank you for being a part of the Generation Elevation community. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to leave a 5-star rating, written review, share, and tag me on Instagram at elise.riley. Until next time, keep loving, keep learning, and keep rising.